Sometimes, in the world of missing persons mysteries, the victim leaves behind a clue so chilling it sounds like a script. But for 29-year-old Shelia Diane Hughes, it wasn't a movie. It was a goodbye. It was September 1st, 2000, in the small town of Aliceville, Alabama. Shelia was 9 months pregnant, ready to give birth at any moment. That night, her boyfriend came to pick her up for a drive. Before she walked out the door, she turned to her sister and said something that makes no sense for a woman about to become a mother. She didn't say, "I'll be right back." She didn't say, "Wish me luck." She said, "If you don't ever see me again, don't worry, because I have lived my life to the fullest." She walked out the door, and she was right. Her family never saw her again. But the most frustrating part of this mysterious disappearance isn't that she vanished into thin air. It's that hours later, police actually found her. They stopped the car, they saw her alive, and then they let her go. In this Missing Persons Cases documentary, we are looking at a tragedy that should have been stopped at a police roadblock. This is the disappearance of Shelia Hughes. To understand why Shelia's final words were so dark, you have to understand who she was getting into the car with. In the fall of 2000, Shelia Hughes was 29 years old. She was petite, 5'5", with a scar on her lip and a nickname, Boot, that her family loved. But her defining feature that September was her baby bump. She was carrying a boy. She had already picked out the name, Renard Simmons, Jr. She was naming the baby after his father, her boyfriend, Renard Simmons. But while Shelia was preparing the crib and folding the clothes, Renard was reportedly seething. According to Shelia's family, Renard did not want this baby. He had pressured her to have an abortion. She refused. She wanted this child. She still loved him, even if he didn't want the responsibility. This tension was the backdrop of that Friday night. It was Shelia's due date. She could have gone into labor at any second. At 10:30 p.m., Renard pulled up to the house Shelia shared with her sister. He asked her to go for a ride. A ride at 10:30 p.m. with a woman 9 months pregnant? It didn't feel right. That's when she turned to her sister. That's when she gave that strange, final eulogy for her own life. She knew the relationship was dangerous. She knew Renard was angry. Yet, she got into the passenger seat anyway. Why? Maybe she thought she could convince him to love their son. Maybe she was afraid to say no. They drove off into the Alabama night, and for the next few hours, they became just another statistic in the sad history of people that went missing from their own driveways.
Usually, in unsolved missing person cases, there is a black hole between the time the victim leaves home and the time they are reported missing. But in Shelia's case, there was a witness, a sworn officer of the law. At 1 a.m., 2.5 hours after they left the house, Renard's car was stopped. Police were running a roadblock in Pickersville, Alabama, about 10 miles west of Aliceville. When the car rolled up, the officer looked inside. He saw Renard Simmons behind the wheel, and he saw Shelia Hughes in the passenger seat. She was alive. She was there. But think about the time. It's 1 a.m. She is 9 months pregnant. She isn't in labor. She isn't at a hospital. She is just riding. Did she look scared? Did she try to signal for help? We don't know. The police checked Renard's license. Everything seemed normal enough. They waved him through. As the taillights of Renard's car faded into the darkness of Pickersville, that officer became the last person on earth, other than her killer, to verify Shelia Hughes was alive. They were heading west, towards the Mississippi state line. Renard Simmons would later claim that shortly after this stop, he turned around and drove her home. He told police he dropped her off at 3 a.m. He said he watched her walk to the door. But Shelia's sister was inside that house. She was awake. She was waiting. And she says that door never opened. Shelia never came home.
When Shelia didn't show up the next morning, the panic set in. She was due to give birth. A pregnant woman doesn't just disappear. The search began, but the clues didn't appear in Aliceville. They appeared across the border. Sometime later, a discovery was made in Noxubee County, Mississippi, just west of where that roadblock had been. In a lonely cotton field, under a tree, a farmer found items that didn't belong. A brown purse and a pair of white house slippers. These were Shelia's. Think about the slippers. She was 9 months pregnant. Her feet were swollen. She was wearing comfortable house shoes because she wasn't planning on hiking through a field. She wasn't planning on running. Finding a purse is bad. Finding shoes is fatal. If a woman leaves voluntarily, she takes her purse. If she runs away, she keeps her shoes on. Finding them abandoned in the dirt meant only one thing. Shelia had been taken from that spot, or she had been ended there. The location was telling. It was just west of the roadblock. It confirmed that after the police let Renard go, he didn't turn around and go home like he said. He kept driving. He drove her into the darkness of Mississippi. The finger of suspicion pointed immediately at Renard Simmons. He had the motive. He didn't want the baby. He had the opportunity. He was the last person seen with her. He had the lies. His story about dropping her off at 3 a.m. was contradicted by her family, who knew she never walked through that door. But Renard did what so many suspects in unsolved missing person cases do. He shut down. He didn't help with the searches. He didn't plead for her return on TV. He didn't seem interested in finding the mother of his child or his unborn son. Her family begged him for answers. Police questioned him, but without a body, without forensic proof that a crime happened in his car, they couldn't charge him with murder. Shelia's family was left in a torturous limbo. They believed she was gone. Authorities believed she met with foul play, but belief isn't evidence. In February 2008, 7.5 years after she vanished, Shelia Diane Hughes was declared legally dead. And Renard, he outlived her by 13 years. He walked free. He lived his life. And in 2013, Renard Simmons died. He took the location of Shelia and his son to the grave.
Today, Shelia Hughes is listed among the missing people who were never found. But this isn't just one missing person case. It is two. Renard Simmons Jr. would be a grown man today. He never took his first breath. His life was stolen before it even began. This case remains open, but the answers are buried. The man who likely did it is dead, but that doesn't mean the truth has to stay hidden. Someone in Aliceville or Pickinsville might know something. Maybe Renard told a friend. Maybe someone saw a car in that cotton field. If you have any information, please contact the Aliceville Police Department. Shelia Hughes told her sister, "If you don't ever see me again, don't worry." But we do worry. We worry because justice was stopped at a roadblock and waved through. What do you think happened in those 2 hours between the police stop and the moment those slippers hit the ground? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you believe these missing persons mysteries deserve to be remembered, please like this video and subscribe. It helps us keep their names alive.